wonderful to be with you, to see all of you. And my gratitude to the choir for being here with me, and of course, Reverend Sundari. And as she said, this time in March is a particularly sweet time for us, recognizing anniversaries in our tradition. I also especially like March 4th because it is the one day of the year that we have a command. Yeah. March 4th. I always think of it. You know, it is, when you study the scriptures, it's one of the ultimate messages. Arise, awake, March 4th. So I want to begin with a little saying for March 4th, the spirit of March 4th from Maya Angelou, who said, "This is a wonderful day. I have never seen this one before." I've really been contemplating that as I begin my day. It's a wonderful day. I have never seen this one before. And you know, when we affirm that, why don't you try it with me? So I'll say it, you say it back. This is a wonderful day.
This is a wonderful day.
I have never seen this one before.
I have never seen this one before.
So it's interesting, isn't it? You know, for me, when I say that, I realize that every day I am carrying the day before and pasting it on, right? Every idea about what the day is going to be like, I carry over and paste it on. How can I see the miraculous nature of a day that has another day and another day and a day years before pasted onto it? But that's the nature of the mind to do that, to overlay the present with the past or with the future. But we have another possibility on the spiritual life, which is to stay open, to be anchored in the present. Simply notice, we've never seen this day before. So during this arc of satsangs with you, I have been exploring some lessons from the life of Paramahansa Yogananda in honor of my teacher coming, in honor of the anniversary of his conscious exit from the body. So there are many things that I feel I have learned from him, both from studying what he left, but more than that, from studying my teacher, who is his living legacy. So you can see what a teacher taught by their students, right? There's a spark that is kept alive. So there are many lessons I have learned, but the 5 that I am offering to you in this series are what I notice about his life. One, first on the list is be intentional about your life. Don't unconsciously float through this life and then, you know, towards the end of it say, whoops. But discover the higher purpose of this life, which is called dharma, which is waking up to the spiritual nature of our life, and then learning how to live in harmony with that spiritual nature of life. Learning what it requires of us, learning how each of us comes in, you know, with an individual purpose, you know, a gift that we have that we are here to express. So learning how to live with higher purpose, to express what is ours to express, to do what we are here to do, to march forth with our offering to the world. So we see that, of course, in the life of Paramahansa Yogananda. And I talked about that the last satsang, this necessity of being intentional about life. And then this week I want to talk about what is paired with being intentional in life is staying open. So it's almost paradoxical, isn't it? Okay, be absolutely intentional and stay open. That's interesting. Then the following satsangs I'm going to talk about, what comes after that is be happy. Learn how to be happy. That is critical if you're going to fulfill your dharma in this lifetime, right? Learn how to be happy. And then make love your aim. All the scriptures tell us that. We just need to learn more about what that means, right? And then the last lesson is be steadfast. Don't give up. Don't give up on love. Don't give up on God. Don't give up on yourself. So this morning for a few minutes I want to talk to you about staying open and how that works on the path when you have an intentional life and you have an intention and you are up to that. So what I want to say about that paradox is that the way I see it in Paramahansaji's life and in my own life, that it actually is your clear intention and your courage to move into the world with that intention that allows you to be open to divine grace. Your intention itself is the vehicle, is the context that allows grace to show itself to you. You know, grace is the divine support that is omnipresent. It's not earned, it's everywhere, it's happening all the time. So how do we hook up with it? How do we live life in such a way that we feel that we're in the stream of grace and we're cooperating with the infinite? That's a question we all have, right? So when I look at Yoganandaji's life, I look at what I've experienced in my own life as well, in the life of my guru and those I'm learning from, is this intentional life, a life that's focused on higher purpose, that allows this activity of grace to reveal itself, and that is what we have to remain open to. But if you don't have a context for it, you're likely to miss it. So, for example, you know, Paramahansa Yogananda came to America in 1920. He was 27 years old, never been out of India, did not know English well at all, got on a steamship, the first one to cross the ocean after the war. Took 2 months to get here. And he had felt in his life for some time this mission of coming to the West. He sort of knew that in his bones. You have something you know in your bones is yours to do? That's that divine intention in you. So he knew that. And then conditions came together for that to happen for him. So he said yes to this intention. He had started a school for boys, which was just a beautiful expression of his work. He had to say goodbye to that, step on a ship, and sail off into who knows what. Into a land where he didn't know the language, didn't know the people, but he had an intention to bring the teachings of Kriya Yoga from the east to the west. So he gets on this steamship, And some point in the journey, someone comes up to him and learns that he's going to be a speaker at the Congress of Religious Liberals, Interfaith Congress. They're having Unitarians sponsored it in Boston. They learn he's on the steamship. He's going to give a talk. So they said to him, you know, why don't you give a talk here? The passengers would love, I'm sure they would love to hear from you about this harmony between East and West. They wanted to know from him, how can we find peace in troubled times? So Yogananda was open. This was not on his agenda. He was open. So the first, the first talk that he gave was on the way, and it was in the bar. You know, in the book they say the saloon, but I'll tell you, the saloon is the bar, right? So he gave his first talk on how to find peace in troubled times in the bar on the steamship. And when he followed that openness to the invitation that divine providence had provided, right? He got before this crowd of people and he stood there in fear. And nothing came out of his mouth because he couldn't translate fast enough in his head from Bengali into English. He said he stood there for 10 minutes in silence in his orange Swami robes. And at some point, the people who were sitting there figured out that and they started to laugh. And at that moment, he offered a prayer, you know, let the English come. And it came, and of course, the rest is history, right? The audience was spellbound. But what also happened when he was open to doing that talk, I mean, he could have said no, right? But he had an intention. This was his work. And God said, through whoever it was, said, why don't you start in the bar on the ship? So he was open. And then he wrote that out of that talk, there were several in the audience on the steamship who asked him to speak when he came to Boston in the surrounding area. So just as his guru had predicted, many doors opened because he was open. So that is really the way that it is for us, you know. And then after that, of course, in the years that he spent traveling around there, tens of thousands of people came to hear him. So he had an intention, he had a knowing in his bones, in his soul, what was his to do. He offered it, and then he stayed open to how it was, life was encouraging him, asking him. So for us, you know, living this life of Dharma, this life of higher purpose, we commit, we know we are here to wake up. We are here to live our lives as spiritual beings. And to arrange conditions in our life so we're not distracted from that. It's easy to get distracted, isn't it? So our teachings tell us there's basically two choices. There's awake or asleep. There's connected to the self or distracted. So we have this ability to know what we're here for, to arrange conditions in our life so that we can stay awake, Stay connected to ourselves. And you know, staying connected to yourself, I want to announce, is different from staying connected to your cell phone. I just have to say, it's a lie. That is not being connected. And we're sort of falling for that, aren't we? So I want you to notice that. It's just a wonderful sadhana, it's a wonderful practice. This, or however technological you are. I kind of want that because as a kid we had Dick Tracy, and I really want to be able to call someone like that. But as a practice, I just want you to notice that this sense of being connected like this narrows consciousness, which you can observe. It narrows consciousness, not a bad thing. I mean, I'm not saying that we should not do it. I'm just saying that we should not mistake that kind of connection for that kind of connection. That is being open, that is being anchored in the self. And our awareness will flow between one and the other, and it should flow between one and the other throughout our day, but not most of the time we're here thinking this is connected. This is connected. This is how we stay open. So we have a goal in our life. We have an intention to live this spiritually conscious life. And we do some work on ourselves, and we connect what that means for us in terms of the service that we have in the world, what we're here to do. And then we know that's our vehicle, and we have a way of staying open. So I wrote about this a little bit this week. I'm going to share it with you. It's called Traveling by Starlight. There's some of my reflections on staying open. Traveling by starlight. To be open requires a strong aim. Imagine a great ship moving across the ocean towards its destination. The captain stays open to tides, the movement of clouds and stars. This openness is not that of a fool, one who cannot move for trying to decide where or when. You are on a bright journey. Don't get lost in the dark night of aimless wandering. There's a star in your chest, born the moment love came into this world. There's a destiny we are moving toward. So staying open is staying connected to ourself. It's a capital S, self. Staying connected to that self is staying connected to God. Being open to wisdom, to love, to compassion, to peace, to inspiration. And it really is as simple as breathing. To come back to ourself in any moment in time. I see many of you on that journey in this very moment. The beauty of the self is revealed in your faces, in your eyes, just as you sit and you remember what it's like to be anchored in the self. And you feel even the change in this temple, in this room. Don't you feel it? Filled with people who are remembering. And that is the beautiful message that Paramahansa Yogananda sailed across the ocean to bring. Wherever you are from, wherever you live, whatever your religion, whatever your ethnicity or gender, or whatever, that same self, that same divine self, that same life is within us all. And when we touch that, we touch peace. Let us stay open to that. I will close with affirmation, an affirmation for the week. I chart my course toward the highest aim, to be awake to truth. That's with a capital T, infinite. Reality, meaning that which doesn't change, that which is not someone's opinion, that. I chart my course toward the highest aim, to be awake to truth, ever mindful of this divine life and the blessings this day will bring. I have never seen this one before. I keep my heart and mind open to guidance, staying tuned to the magnificent joy of being alive. Would you say that with me? I'll break it up. We'll make it short and easy. I'll say it first. Repeat it back just so you can feel it in your heart. I chart my course toward the highest aim.
I chart my course toward the highest aim.
To be awake to truth.
To be awake to truth.
Ever mindful of this divine life.
Ever mindful of this divine life.
And the blessings this day will bring.
And the blessings this day will bring.
I have never seen this one before.
I have never seen this one before.
I keep my heart and mind open to guidance.
I keep my heart and mind open to guidance.
Staying tuned to the magnificent joy of being alive. Staying tuned to the magnificent joy of being alive. Namaste.